Hey YouTube, it's GV Loan Guy. Today we're making a video on the Yellow Salve, special pronunciation there. It's actually, I'm pronouncing it Yellow Salve because that's where the Australians pronounce it, and this is where these types of things mostly come from. So this is what you're going to need to make the Yellow Salve. We're going to need the linseed oil, you're going to need lavender spike, you're going to need a dark resin, a measuring cup, the pot, small cooking pot, and I have a scale for measuring the beeswax out. So the recipe that we've been working from is based on 1 pint. This is the 1 pint size, 16 ounces. This is what we've been using as the size ratio. But I'm going to make half that today. We're going to make 1/2 of the formula. So I'm cutting everything in half. When we published the original recipe, we used this type of linseed oil. I got a comment from somebody a couple of weeks ago. And the comment says, I'm concerned about the boiled linseed oil that you use in your Yellow Salve. According to Wikipedia, quote, today, most products labeled as boiled linseed oil are a combination of raw linseed oil, petroleum-based solvent, and metallic dryers, catalysts to accelerate drying. The use of metallic dryers makes boiled linseed oil inedible, unquote. I believe one of the metallic dryers is lead. Okay, so this person got my attention. I'm not interested in putting anything like this in my body, especially in an open wound. So the first batch I made used this stuff. The new stuff I'm doing is considered food grade linseed oil. All right, here's the other thing. This recipe is 150 years old. So when they said linseed oil 150 years ago, what they meant was flaxseed oil. And when they said boiled linseed oil 150 years ago, what they meant was edible flaxseed oil. So this is the stuff that I'm using. And right away, I mean, there's going to be a huge difference in the color between this one and the last time. So the first time I made this, it came out, I got 3.5 jars this size. And these are pretty good sized jars, but I got 3.5 jars this size. I didn't want that much, so that's the reason why I'm cutting this recipe in half. So we're going with a smaller, we're doing everything in half. The original recipe calls for 1 pint of the boiled linseed oil, 1 piece of resin the size of a walnut, which when I found my resin, the one I got actually came like this. It was actually double size. I thought this was about the size of a walnut right here. All right? But since we're doing half of the recipe this time, I'm actually going to cut this in half. And we're going to use half of this. So I'm going to try to do this without cutting my fingers. And the best way to do that is to get the knife on one side and my finger on the other. There you go. So now I've got what I consider half of a walnut size. And the other half is going to go back in here for the next time. All right. The other thing is, in the original recipe it called for 2.5 ounces. 2.5 ounces of beeswax. That wasn't enough. I found that in the actual original recipe it called for 4 ounces for this full-size 16-ounce recipe. So I'm looking for 2 ounces. So I went ahead and I got 4 ounces, but I've got 2 ounces weighed out here. All right? So now what I've got, and this is going for the next time right here, building up for the next time. let's get this stuff poured here. This is going to be 8 ounces here. Pour that. Let's see, 8 ounces. Well, that looks nice and clean. All right, so there's 8 ounces. And this half here is going over here for the next time. All right? So we're not using this anymore. We're using flaxseed oil. Lavender, oil of spike. The recipe calls for 1 tablespoon. A tablespoon is 15 milliliters. Each one of these bottles is 5 milliliters. So this, 3 bottles, is 1 tablespoon. So I'm doing 1/2 tablespoon, which is technically 7.5 milliliters. Well, I can't get this in 7.5 milliliters, but I can get it in 10. So I found this one online in 10 milliliters, 1 bottle, for about the same price as 1 5 milliliter bottle. So this is what I'm going with this time around, right? And I'm putting in 10 milliliters because it's calling for 7.5 milliliters. I'd rather have just a tiny bit more of the lavender spike oil. All right, so there's the ingredient. Basically, there they are. These 4 things right here. All right? And the way you do this, you're going to put the oil in the small saucepan. And we're also going to add to that the beeswax and the rosin, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. This stuff you get at a music store. The lavender we're going to wait until the very last thing and add. So right now we're going to move this over the stove, going to heat it up, and not going to bring it to a boil. We're going to heat it up so that it starts melting these ingredients. You see what's in there? We're going to melt these ingredients on the stove right now. Okay, so we'll get that going. Let's see here. We'll get that going, and then we will come back after this has warmed up. I'm not going to bring it to a boil. We're just going to warm it up enough to melt the beeswax, and that's it. So I'll be stirring it occasionally, and we'll come back once everything is melted. You can see the resin starting to melt down in there. That dark stuff, and the beeswax is starting to melt a little bit also.
Do you put a cover on this, Tom?
No, because we're not going to bring it to a boil. We're just trying to warm it up enough to melt the beeswax and the resin, which the resin seems to be going pretty quick. The resin we used was the dark one. It's kind of green. There's another option which is the yellow looking, the golder looking stuff. The next time I buy it, I'm going to buy the yellow amber gold stuff instead of the dark green one that looks almost black. That little walnut chunk that I cut in half, that's actually green, but it looks black. It's so dark. So this is melting pretty good in here now, so a few more minutes and it'll be basically done, and we'll let it cool. We let it cool a while before adding the lavender spike, and then we'll pour that lavender spike in just before it becomes solidified. We don't want it to become solidified. So there's a critical point after it's melted down, just before it gets hardened as it's cooling. Right at that point is when we're going to pour the lavender spike in. So we're going to let this cool a minute, and then we'll come back when we are going to put the lavender spike in there. Okay, so we're back, and as you can see, it's starting to cool off a little bit, getting a little chunky along the outer edge. Right like that. I would say we're about ready to put in the little lavender. You just pour that in. And let's see, we're going to have to take that top off. You have to pop that little top thing out of there. Makes it a little bit easier to get at, and then we're just going to pour the whole bottle right on in there. Okay?
Is that just for fragrance, or does it actually have some healing properties to it?
I'm assuming that it's got some healing properties to it, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. But it is a lavender spike oil. I think I got all that out of there. Not even going to need this cool water. This is going real quick, so we're just going to stir that around really good. Make sure that's on there nice. You see the color.
Smells good.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's a good consistency. Let's go back over the other side of the counter and pour this stuff right into the glass jar here. All right, we're on the other side of the counter. We're going to pour this stuff right in here. This is the old stuff done last time around. This is the new stuff right here. Let me just get that going. Similar color. I think that color comes from the dark green rosin. That's why I thought the next time I do this, I'm going to probably use the amber yellow color rosin to see if that brightens this up any. That worked out to be a little bit better that way than filling up almost 3 jars. Interesting. Two different colors. This is the old stuff. This is made with the flaxseed oil. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and above all, thanks for all your thoughtful comments.